fellow Americans. My name is Barack Obama. I'm your President of the United States of America. I am here today to tell you what my job is all about. First, let's go back to 1789, when President George Washington was in office. Back when America was first founded, the president was not as powerful as he is today. The president was not supposed to be very powerful because the founding fathers did not want to have another king.
Greetings. My name is George Washington. I was the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and the first President of the United States of America. Back in my day, America wasn't always its own country, but a colony of Britain. America went to war for their independence from the king. When the Founding Father wrote the Constitution, they made sure not to create another king, but instead created the presidency, which is not as powerful as the king. The president doesn't control everything that happens in the U.S., but the president is given powers to influence change. One of these powers is the executive order. The executive order makes something a law without having to go through Congress first. Usually, the president has to go through the other branches of government to pass a law, so executive orders are a big deal. It was during my term as president that the idea of implied powers in the necessary and proper clause of the Constitution was first used when I signed the law that created the first national bank. Implied powers are powers that were not written in the Constitution, but the president can use them. When I was president, I used my power as Commander-in-Chief to call upon the militia to stop the Whiskey Rebellion of 1794. The president, as Commander-in-Chief, can start war, but only Congress can declare war. The War Powers Resolution requires that the president to tell Congress what he is doing with the military. The president has 60 days to use the military before asking Congress for permission. If Congress says no, then there is nothing the president can do. Times of crisis give the president more power. The president can very quickly monitor problems anywhere in the world. But Congress moves very slowly because of all the people in it. The president is allowed more power in times of crisis so that he can handle the problem with a quick decision.
Nowadays, before the president takes office, the Appointments Clause allows him to hire thousands of people, including federal judges, top government officials like the head of the CIA, and public ministers. When people think about the government or the country, they imagine the president. Because of his role as a figurehead, the president often gets blamed or praised for things that he doesn't actually do. Today, that can be connected to how much media attention they get. The president can choose what is revealed to the media and has a lot of control over the media. People want to see the president on the news instead of congressmen and senators. The president also gets to appoint ambassadors, who are people who go to other countries to show that the U.S. cares about that country, like our friend here who is the ambassador to France. Foreign policy is when countries talk to each other and do things to or with each other. Foreign policy is a huge part of what the government and president deal with year-round. Foreign policy powers allow the president to communicate with other nations, recognize foreign governments, and make executive agreements or treaties.
When Congress makes a law, the president has to sign it to make the law real. But if the president doesn't approve of the law, he can veto it by giving it back to Congress unsigned. When I was in office, I only used the power of veto twice. But if Congress really wants the law to be real, there can be a 2/3 vote by both houses of Congress to make the president's veto not count.
One perk of being the president is that the president can pardon any member of his staff if they are bad to the U.S. This means that the staff members' crimes are ignored by the U.S. One thing that can't be ignored is the budget. The president also recommends the budget, which is the amount of money the nation gets to spend in a year. The president helps decide how much money the nation gets and where that money goes. Congress is the true decider of the budget, though. Congress and the president have an ongoing relationship, and one of the president's implied powers is the legislative power. This allows the president to recommend a legislation to Congress. Well, I think that's all, folks. Good night, and as always, God bless America.